Welcome. This is Samantha Skelly, and you are listening to the Hungry for Happiness podcast, where we dig deep and discover how to reconnect into your body, heal your relationship to food, and finally feel the liberation and freedom you desire. Kleenex is encouraged, and pants are optional. What's up, Phoenixes, and welcome back to the Hungry for Happiness podcast. I am Samantha Skelly, your host, and today is a bonus episode. I have brought on one of my dear clients. She is a society alumni, and she's currently in the Hungry for Happiness certification program to certify herself to become a Hungry for Happiness coach. The reason I brought Sue on the podcast is she is so incredibly inspiring. I love when my clients come on and they can really talk to where they're at and the journey that they go through. So you as listeners can really have an inside scoop of what it's really like to finally end the battle with food in your body. The reason why Sue is so inspiring, when I first met her, I realized that at 62 years old, she started Olympic weightlifting. That for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, you are incredible. She broke provincial records and qualified for the 2017 World Masters Games in New Zealand earlier this year. She promotes the thought that we are all capable of amazing things at any age. You know, who listening has been like, oh, I'm too old for that. I'm too old to do that. It's just not true. You have the ability to do anything your heart desires, no matter what age you are. And Sue totally proves that. So it's so beautiful to see her grow and to see her master her craft while educating herself to be a coach. So I'm so excited for you all to check out this episode. I just want to remind you that we are currently enrolling for the Society, our signature group coaching program, which is a 6-month journey to finally end the battle you have with food and your body. This program is by application and invitation only, so when you apply, we'll hop on a call and we'll make sure that it is the perfect fit for you. If you go to www.hungryforhappiness.com/society application, all the details are there for you. I hope you enjoy this episode. What's up, Phoenixes, and welcome back to the Hungry for Happiness podcast. This episode is going to be incredible. I am so honored to have Sue Spencer on with us today. I can't wait for you guys to hear her story. We met at a conference, or I guess it was an event that I was speaking at, and within a few moments of us chatting, I just completely fell in love with her zest for life and what she's doing in the world and how she's really radically shifted her own life. It's absolutely inspiring and amazing. And I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. So the first question we ask all our guests is, what is the number one thing about life that makes you feel most alive?
Well, at the moment, I guess it's weightlifting is what is really pushing me to try new things. It's sort of opened doors to, I don't know, everything that could possibly happen. It's like, I like to say I'm on a freight train of awesomeness that's just keeps going. So
a freight train of awesomeness. That is like the best thing ever.
Yeah. So got into it sort of late in life, but it's something that's sort of just given me a whole bunch of confidence and strength and all that kind of thing.
So let's talk about that. What was the catalyst? Do you mind telling the viewers how old you are? Or is that secret information?
No. I'm 62. I'll be 63 in about 3 weeks.
So 63 years old, and she lifts. She does Olympic weightlifting. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, right? And I can't even believe how much you can lift. It's incredible. So what I'm super interested in is, when a lot of people, when they get, even over the age of 40, 45, they start thinking okay, I've done it all. I just gotta be mature, or I gotta people expect this from me. And it's too late to pursue my dreams. I'm already set in stone. There's all of this stuff and all of these beliefs that happen through that. And I would just love to kind of dig into, what was your catalyst? What was the one thing, or maybe it's more than one thing, for you to really say to yourself and give yourself permission to really pursue what you wanted to do and not worry about constraints such as like age or ability or anything like that. Like what was the catalyst there?
Well, I think probably the original catalyst was about 15 years ago. I was separated and divorced. So I sort of, my kids were older, and I just kind of started thinking about, I need to start moving forward in a really sort of fearless way. And so I started doing things that I maybe wouldn't have done before. I didn't really address the whole hungry for happiness type thing. I didn't address my weight in any way. But I did do some different things. And it wasn't until actually just about 4.5 years ago that my daughter was pregnant with my grandson, and my brother had gone through a cancer treatment. And I suddenly started thinking like, oh my God, in 18 months, I'm going to be 60. And I've still got this baby weight for my 33-year-old son. And I just haven't, I just haven't done anything about it. And so I really just sort of thought, like I've got to make a change. And so that's really what I guess the catalyst was, that I needed to make a change, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I started going to the gym. I set myself up to succeed by making sure that I went first thing in the morning before I went to work, because I knew I wouldn't bother afterwards. And I really, I just kind of opened myself up to saying yes to opportunities that came my way. So that was sort of, once I decided that I was going to make a shift, that was sort of my premise. And I went to the gym, sort of tried to say, well, I wasn't going to do certain things. And the fellow that showed me around sort of said, oh, well, we've got somebody that can help you with that. And anyway, to make a long story short, I ended up working with a personal trainer, and not something I ever thought I would do, but again, just it was an opportunity, so I took it. And best thing that I ever could have possibly done. So once I started, pardon?
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, so once I started doing that, I started losing weight. My trainer suggested that, if I wanted to, get really healthy and lose weight, I needed to change the way I was eating. I really liked the fact that he didn't give me a diet plan or something like that. That wasn't what it was about. It was about shifting the way that I was thinking about my body and how I, I'm trying to think of the word, how I sort of approach life with it. So
absolutely.
That was really awesome. He wasn't somebody that did like a whole bunch of cardio and everything. It was just like strength training. And I realized really quickly that I was really strong for my age, almost freakishly so. So it was sort of, that was really cool. That was how he trained, is strength and functional fitness. So I sort of went on with that. And after I'd lost quite a bit of weight that I really needed to lose to be healthy, he sort of said, you need to have another goal, something that's going to really, inspire you to move forward. And I'd made such a big change that I was kind of reaching for the stars. I looked at what was out there that was of interest, and World Masters Games in New Zealand was what I chose as my goal. I think everybody that knows me,
you're like, I'm not playing small. I'm not playing small.
Yeah. I think they thought that was pretty crazy, and perhaps it was, because I hadn't really done Olympic lifting other than being able to lift specific weights. But so I just sort of got into that, and it's opened up so many doors of meeting really interesting people, of expanding from just that weightlifting, that now I speak publicly about the changes that people can make, and really just embracing life and trying to get people to realize that, it doesn't really matter how old you are. If it's something that interests you, find that passion. Mine happens to be weightlifting. There's not many women my age that do that. But, I was at a competition last weekend, and there was a woman who was 73, and she didn't start until she was 70.
No
and she was
way.
lifting. Yep.
No
Yep.
way. That's
Yep.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so
So, I mean,
beautiful.
you can, as long as you're, healthy, doesn't matter what you're doing. A lot of people go into
Mm,
running and marathoning and things like that. That's sort of not my
mm,
thing. But yeah, and what's come from that too is the respect for your body and the respect for how you live your life. Like you've
mm.
got that confidence because you've
Mhm.
internally and externally you know that you're strong.
I love it. I love
So
it. Well, you touched on something really beautiful that I just want to allude to a little bit here. You said when you worked with your trainer, he didn't give you a meal plan. It wasn't about like, okay, we need to get to this goal. We need to get to this goal weight. It was truly about, I'm doing this because I love my body and I want to be strong. And
mhm,
through the process of taking action, I'm assuming that you developed confidence, you developed more strength, you developed more power, you developed more self love, whatever it is, through taking action, but not having weight loss as a goal, but having just health and happiness and excitement
yeah.
as a focus. So I would really love you to kind of talk to me about your process through that, because a lot of women that I work with, a lot of people listening right now, they think the promised land is in a meal plan, that they're going to lose, X amount of pounds, and then they're going to find that feeling, where you started with the feeling. And I love that about
Yeah.
you. So I'd love for you just to share your experience through that.
So I think yeah, certainly radically changed the way I eat for sure.
Mm,
Radically changed it. Not so much junk food as I used to for sure, although I
mm,
still eat it. Um, I think that one of the things was I'm celiac, so that
mm,
takes away a lot of the pressure of cookies and candies and stuff like that. Like I'm as much as I'm totally involved in weightlifting, I'm also basically lazy in that I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be bothered, going through every ingredient of things, if it's something that doesn't, that
mm,
I have to figure out whether it's got gluten in it or not. But I think what I started out with is just sort of changing. He suggested, try eating, so many, every 3 hours, small meals. Realize really, really quickly that in order to sustain your body throughout the day and not be hungry, you really don't need to eat all that much food. Like your
mm,
quantity wise, every time you eat, you
mm,
need to fuel your body so that it's balanced, and so
mm.
that was something that was, everybody thinks, oh my god, you don't eat breakfast because then you're just hungry 3 hours later. Well, yeah, because your metabolism is working properly, right?
Mhm.
So that was one of the first things that I did, is change that up. But really quickly I realized that, number one, you don't need to eat as much as everybody. The portion sizes are huge compared to what you really
Mhm.
need to eat. But really just fueling my body. And
Mhm.
it's a process, and it takes a little while to sort of get to that point where you really realize that. But now I'm really conscious about what I'm putting into my system,
Mhm.
and I can tell really quickly how it affects me. And so I choose to eat or not eat certain things because of how I feel, as I
Mhm.
digest it, or whether it makes me itchy or like there's all
Mhm.
different things that
Absolutely.
people, when they eat things, and a lot of people are eating mindlessly, and so we
Mm.
don't really stop until it's, we've consumed a full bag of M&Ms or whatever.
Mhm.
And really, if we'd stopped at like, a couple of handfuls, we would have realized right then that it was upsetting our system. But
Mhm.
we've
Mhm.
consumed a massive quantity of it, and
Mhm.
I'm guilty of that. I certainly do still occasionally do, eat stuff that I know, but I'm more
Yeah.
mindful of it. And I think
Yeah.
that's the thing, is that,
Yeah.
portion sizes are just out of control, but also just mindfulness of what you're consuming, and when
Mm.
you're consuming it, and how you feel as you do it. And that's been a really
Mhm.
big, big change for me, that,
Mhm.
and sometimes I do eat stuff that I know I probably shouldn't, but I
Mm.
make that decision about it.
It sounds like what you've really taken it and added a little bit of pleasure. Like what I'm hearing you say is like, I give myself permission to indulge in the things that taste good and are yummy,
Yeah.
and it doesn't come with the emotional baggage of the shame and the guilt, and I shouldn't have done this, and I got to work out, and I got to do this, and so it doesn't come with that. So you're able to consciously indulge in a very mindful way, coming from a place of love in these things that in the moment feel really good and taste really good. However, as soon as you're done consuming that cookie or that chocolate or whatever that is, then you're on to the next. You're on to like just living your life and not having to say, oh, I've got no willpower, I got to start this diet again or whatever it is. So I'd love for you to just like share a little bit of like, how did you go from feeling guilty and having guilty conscience around after you ate something to being mindful and knowing that I'm allowed to do this. I give myself permission.
I think part of it is really, as you embrace some kind of change in your life, and for me it was working out, you're more aware of your body and you feel that inner strength as well as external strength. And so you're sort of in a position where you want to embrace that. And by eating stuff that you probably shouldn't, you also see what your reaction to your body is when you're working out. So if you're, like, I'm not saying 4 hours a day for 7 days a week, but if you have a regular routine, whether that's like 2 days a week, 1 day a week, 5 days a week, it doesn't matter. If you have a regular routine that's keeping you healthy, then you can change up what you're eating and it's not going to really affect
anything,
your well-being, essentially. And so once I sort of got into that habit of changing my eating, of eating to sort of fuel me, to sustain me, I sort of stopped that whole thing about like, oh my God, you shouldn't have eaten that. I do still, if I eat something that I know is sort of not really that great for me, afterwards I'll sort of like, how great was that? Not so much, or it was really awesome. I'm glad I ate it, so I think that that's the shift, and it's a hard shift to get to. So everybody finds their own personal sort of balance with it. But once I started to see really changes within my body and how I felt and my, my personality, everything has changed for the better as I have, changed how I react to food, essentially. So once I kind of did that, it sort of all just sort of flowed.
Beautiful. So, how has your personality changed by virtue of you taking action out of love and coming from a place of acceptance and having health and top of mind and not body image? Like, how has that changed your personality? How are you different?
Well, I'm a lot happier, a lot less grumpy, and a lot more patient too. I don't get stressed by stuff. I think that's part of it, is that you've taken that out of the equation of always being constantly down on yourself because you've eaten something that you shouldn't have eaten, or you think you shouldn't have eaten. Maybe you should have eaten it. I think that that change, and just having that inner strength of achieving something that you maybe never thought you could before, whatever that is, that sort of, it balances you out. Plus you're eating on a regular basis. You're not restricting your diet. You're not, punishing yourself by not eating because you ate too much before. You've got a balanced life most of the time, so that when when I'm in traffic, I don't, like, once I've hit the third red light, instead of freaking out, I'm just like, okay, well,
surrender,
relax, because
surrender.
Yeah, it's, you're not getting there any faster. So I really kind of, I approach it that way now. And I think that's made a much calmer, much, things don't bother me the way that perhaps they did at sometimes before. I just, life's too short. It's not worth
You come off as
getting.
one of the most like grounded, centered, chilled out women that I know. And it's really beautiful to be in your energy because it's kind of like you're just like, whatever, it's all good. So talk to me about the contrast. That wasn't always the case?
No, well,
You're
my
like, I used
kids,
to be a freak.
my kids are like, yeah, Mom, you're not so angry anymore.
Interesting. Interesting. So you had like
But
anger.
I
Yeah.
used to get uptight, like when I'm driving, like aggressive and yeah, for sure. I
Mm,
just, I've channeled that into a
yeah.
competitiveness that I never ever
Mm,
dreamt that I even had.
wow.
So perhaps that's where it's going now, and I am really
Definitely.
competitive. It's really surprising to me how much I am, but
That's actually a really good point that you bring up is like you were able to recognize the fact that because we all do it, we all have anger within us. There's always
mhm,
anger and rage and aggression that is like in our bodies, pockets of emotion that need to be processed. And we often don't give ourselves the permission to effectively process this trauma and this rage or whatever it is in our body. And then it manifests and it manifests and it grows and we freak out in traffic. I have this theory of road rage, which me and my girlfriend talked about once. And it's like the reason why people are, why road rage is such a thing is because you're in this metal box effectively. No one can really get at you. You feel protected, but you're like safe to like, rah, and just like let it go. And so
mhm,
I think a lot
yeah,
like we don't have very many safe spaces where we can just absolutely let loose and know that we're safe in doing that. And I think that's a huge problem right now because we all have rage and anger and frustration and trauma and things in our bodies that need to be processed. And I love how you're using Olympic lifting as a channel to allow yourself to go through that process. And it sounds like extremely therapeutic for you.
oh yeah. I mean,
Mm,
it's I think one of the things too is like maybe focus is,
mm,
I go into the gym and well, my trainer doesn't always think that I'm focused, but I'm
mm,
spending I'm spending an hour working on an Olympic lift. I've been doing that recently because I've been competing and I will be competing. So I'm really focused on my technique and my movement. Well, I walk out of there after an hour and I haven't been thinking about other stuff. I've been
mm,
thinking about the conversation I'm having with him, what I'm actually doing as far
mm,
as lifting the weights. So it's very focused, and I
mm,
think that that's what everybody needs is something that gives them that sort of focus that
mm.
it's like meditation. They're spending an hour that they're not
Definitely.
thinking about anything else. So
Definitely. Definitely.
that's definitely
Yeah.
helped.
And that's actually a really great point because I know a lot of people, we talk about meditation quite a lot on the podcast. And there's just some people, like, I don't know what your experience is with it, but there's just some people who, like, just can't do it. It's like sitting in a dark, in a room, quiet, cross legged to them is like an idea of hell. And so, what you're talking about here is really like this concept of like integrated meditation. Like, you don't
Hmm.
have to sit cross-legged listening to like you know oming or whatever for it to be effective. You can
Hmm.
focus, and it's like that high level of like intentional focus at one thing that is in itself meditative. Therefore you have the qualities and the benefits of meditation. But so often we're walking around the planet with our focus just dispersed and not channeled into one thing, and that's what creates a lot of the confusion, a lot of the I have so much to do and I'm spinning so many plates. But if we just like get it back in our bodies, because in order for you to lift those weights that you're lifting, you have to be in your body. You have to be
Hmm.
focused because one false move, and I don't know, there could be some serious damage happen there. So you
Yeah, yeah.
have to be present, and that in itself is training your brain to focus and practice being, not doing.
Yeah, and I think,
Mm,
a lot of runners have that when after a certain distance that they're running, they get into that sort of zone,
mm,
and it is a meditative state. And I think, yeah, I'm not one of those people that will sit and in a dark room and meditate for, a period of time. I
yeah,
just don't do that. So
yeah.
but I get that through when I'm at the gym, or, I'm, even when I'm not working with my trainer, when I'm, on the elliptical or whatever I'm doing, I'm
Yeah,
focused on what I'm doing. And so I'm not really aware of what's going on around me. And I'm just
absolutely.
internalizing. And I think
Yeah.
that's the big thing. You just, and everybody's different. You just have to find what that is for you.
Absolutely. So I think those listening right now, I would really encourage you to find the one thing in your life that completely takes you out of the chaos and out of the dialogue and the inner critic, and find that thing that fuels your soul where you can literally pour your entire life into. And I want everyone listening right now just to take a second as we're discussing this, because this is a really, really extremely important point. It's essential as humans that we have this. It's essential that we have brain breaks. It's essential that we allow ourselves to play and to grow and to uncover and discover and not be so adulty all the time. And so if that means joining a comedy course, or if that means taking a pottery class, or if that means dancing, taking up salsa, finding the thing in your life that maybe has nothing to do with your kids, has nothing to do with your husband, has nothing to do with work, and it's just the sole purpose of that thing is to fuel your soul, is to make you feel alive, right? That's the question that I ask on this podcast to all our guests is, what is the thing that makes you come alive? What is that thing? Because when we work from that place and we feel that felt sense of aliveness, confidence, ease, we then can take action, more action, which only invites in more of that feeling. But when we're denying ourselves of these opportunities and we're like, oh, I'll wait till this happens, or we play the when then game, like when my kids are older and they're moved out, or when I lose 10 pounds, or when my husband stops doing whatever he's doing, or whatever it is. When we play the when then game, we're constantly distancing ourselves from the feelings that we truly desire to feel, whether that's aliveness, vitality, feeling radiant, feeling confident, feeling love, whatever that is. And choosing a hobby or something in your life that you can channel yourself into, channel your love into, because it does truly become a self-generating system. I know, Sue, when you're in the gym and you're doing that and you're putting all of yourself into, that thing is actually giving back to you as well, right? By virtue of you showing up and giving yourself into it. And it creates this beautiful synergy, this beautiful flow of energy back and forth where you just want to show up and do that thing, right? Like for me, it's dancing, right? Like dancing gives back to me so much. When I show up and I'm in the studio and I dance, I'm like, there's so much that I'm getting out of this. It's unbelievable. And it's not like, oh, I'm doing this because I want to lose weight, or I'm doing this because I want to look good. It's like, no, I'm doing this because my soul is like, I need that thing. And without that thing, my soul is not fulfilled. It's like, well, this is boring. I want to play. I want to do things. Because we have to remember, we just want to play. We want to have fun. The purpose of life is to be happy. And so when we can consciously create things in our life that bring us that happiness, and that it's like a self-generated thing that we consciously choose, that many people are missing that. Many people try and find that in the consumption of alcohol or drugs, or over socializing, or binging on whatever. Binging on whatever. It could be sex, money, drugs, whatever it is. And they never feel fulfilled. So take some time today, whether it's you're doing it right now, maybe you've already got it from me speaking, or after this podcast, and explore and find what is that one thing for you. I love that. I love that point.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times it's not what you'd expect. I never ever would have dreamt that I was going to do Olympic lifting for sure, or that I would be, 4.5 years later, going to the World Masters Games. Like it's not something that I would have ever,
So cool.
if you asked me 10 years ago, I'm like, are you serious? I hate working out. There's no way I'd be in the gym. So I think that and try stuff that's not what you normally would try. Like, I think that's the big thing is like, don't go back to what you did before, or what seems like normal. If there's something that piques your interest, go for it. And that's what I've been embracing. And it's, I've done some amazing stuff, and I've connected with really interesting people. And it's, what I really like about it too, is that as you gain more confidence in your body, then you realize, like, for instance, for me, like you know, if I was waiting around until I was in like the perfect weight category that I think I should be in order to compete, well, I wouldn't be competing. You know, muscle is a lot heavier than fat. So I weigh more than most people think I do, but I don't really care. I go into the competition, I go into my training from the point of view that every time I do it, I'm getting stronger and stronger.
Oh, so, I love it.
So that's the important thing. Yeah. And like now you know, I'm really fortunate because the fellow that I train with, Paul, he is really, really good about sharing, you know, information and sort of mentors me on how to use social media and that kind of thing, because a lot of people my age don't, but I'm all over it now. Yeah. So, you know, as he's building his brand, he's learning things and he's willing to share that. So I'm really grateful that I have a lot of people that I've connected with that are willing to help me, you know, do different things. And so now I'm, you know, like I've connected to so many different interesting things because I'm willing to do that.
I love that.
And I don't, you know, like I'm learning, you know, I'm not there yet, but I'm learning to, you know, just step out and ask, you know.
I love it.
It's amazing what people will do.
I think you are there. I think you should give yourself a little bit more credit. That's my experience of you is like you ask, you get out there, you ask questions. And you're so supported. You know, you've got a tribe of, I know the Hungry for Happiness ladies, specifically the society ladies, are just fans of yours. Like, we just
sometimes I think people just think like, oh my God, what's this crazy lady doing now?
Oh my God, yeah, right. Never. We're like, yes, hashtag beast mode grandma. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, I love what you're up to. I think you're really setting a new standard for women your age and thinking that thinking that, you know, it's over. You know, and it's not. I'm just getting started.
Yeah,
like that is so beautiful, and it makes me so excited. It makes me so excited to witness you get going through this process. Like it's been an absolute dream for me to just be like, damn, like she's really going for it. And it's exciting. And you're an incredible role model. You're setting a standard for women to just like get out of their own way and really follow their soul and do something remarkable, no matter what age, no matter what skill level, no matter what. There's zero limitations with you, Sue. And that's what I really appreciate about you. So thank you so much for being on the show. I just love you.
No problem.
I can't wait to give you a big hug next time I see you.
Yeah, I'll see you at the beginning of April.
Yes. Oh, you're coming.
Yep.
Yes. For those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, Hungry for Happiness Live happens twice a year. Can't wait to see you there. And thank you so much for coming on and inspiring all of our listeners. It's just such a treat to know you and experience you. And I can't wait to see what you have in store in the next couple of years.
Awesome. Okay, and you can follow me on Beast Mode Grandma on Instagram if you want.
Beast Mode Grandma. So at Beast Mode Grandma, go there, go check her out, go see how much how much can you squat?
About 225.
Oh my God.
My biggest deadlift at this point is 285, like a full one. But I don't do that for Olympic lifting. For my biggest clean and jerk right now is about 107 pounds. So,
oh my gosh, that's just like,
that's what I'm aiming for.
I couldn't even roll that. You're incredible. I am so excited. Everyone go check her out on Instagram. Give her some love up on there. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and I'll see you in April.
Yep.
Bye for now.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on the Hungry for Happiness podcast. You can join the conversation with women just like yourself at hungryonfacebook.com. Until next week, ladies, stay classy and badassy.